Good evening. In the news tonight, a lawsuit has been filed against a former Knox County jail matron over missing bail money. 2 American hikers have been released from an Iranian prison, and in sports, Indianapolis Colts coach Jim Caldwell isn't ready to throw his team under the bus after an 0-2 start. News Center 22 starts now.
Local news, weather, and sports, produced through the combined efforts of the students, staff, and faculty of Vincennes University's electronic media program. This is News Center 22.
The Indiana Attorney General's office is suing a former Knox County jail matron for money she allegedly stole while employed by the Sheriff's Department. Good evening for News Center 22. I'm Mitch Columbi. Over $72,000 is being sought from Devin Hicks for having allegedly stolen close to $17,000 in cash bonds paid by inmates over a period of 2 years. The Vincennes Sun commercial reports Hicks was responsible for depositing the money paid by inmates bonding out of jail. The audit shows there were 25 instances of money not being paid, deposited between March 2007 and May 2009 for a total of $16,800 missing. Knox County Sheriff Mike Morris says the facts in the case date back to an audit of the Sheriff's Department that was completed in 2009 when Morris became sheriff. In that audit, Hicks, along with several other employees, were named by the state as having allegedly stolen thousands of dollars from the Sheriff's Department during former Sheriff Steve Luce's tenure. After completion of that first audit, Morris said he contacted the Indiana State Police to begin conducting an investigation into the alleged wrongdoing at the jail. Morris then requested a second, more thorough audit of the Sheriff's Department records. Morris says all information has been turned over to the prosecutor and is being reviewed for possible criminal charges. An initial hearing on the state's suit will be held at 11 a.m. on Monday in Knox Circuit Court. The state is seeking $72,000 from Hicks because state law allows up to 3 times the amount of money stolen to be recovered from defendants. Indiana State Police have arrested a former nurse for insurance fraud. 26-year-old Hannah Winkler of Princeton was arrested Tuesday afternoon after a criminal investigation discovered she illegally obtained a controlled substance and defrauded an insurance company on multiple occasions. State police initiated a criminal investigation back in April after receiving information from a Princeton pharmacy manager regarding a suspicious prescription written by a local physician. The prescription was issued to Winkler's mother, but when the pharmacist contacted her, she denied ever being a patient of the prescribing physician. During the investigation, it was revealed that the physician was issuing the medication to the mother, knowing it was being picked up and used by Winkler. Winkler did not have money to pay for the prescription, so the physician was writing the prescription under her mother's name and using her insurance plan. Winkler is currently suspended as a nurse for an unrelated matter. She was taken to the Gibson County Jail and is currently being held on bond. Evansville IHOP reopened today after its doors were shut this morning as FBI agents arrived and served search warrants. Agents were assisted by Evansville Police, the IRS, and Homeland Security. They loaded a number of small boxes and a few computer hard drives out the back door of the restaurant into a U-Haul truck. An FBI spokesman says the action in Evansville was part of a much larger effort in northwest Iowa. An Evansville man has sued the city, claiming police violated a new state law when they made him leave the Mesker Park Zoo for refusing to cover a gun on his hip. Attorney Guy Relford of Zionsville says Benjamin A. Megenheimer was singled out because he was carrying a gun and officials clearly violated a new law that allows local governments to ban guns only from buildings that house courtrooms. City Attorney David Jones says the city will fight the lawsuit. He says Megenheimer was removed from the zoo September 10th for causing a disturbance, not just for carrying a gun. The Evansville Courier and Press reports the lawsuit was filed Friday in Vanderburgh Circuit Court. Relford is representing another client in a similar lawsuit against Hammond. 23 people died in farm accidents in Indiana in 2010. That's the 4th consecutive year farm-related deaths totaled at least 20, according to a Purdue University study. Bill Field, Purdue Extension farm safety specialist, says that the leading causes of farm deaths were overturned tractors and workers being run over by farm machinery. Farming ranks among the nation's most dangerous occupations. The National Safety Council reports that the occupational death rate among farmers is 31.6 fatalities per 100,000 workers, compared with 3.5 deaths per the same number of workers in non-farm industries. Field says most farm accidents can be avoided if farm farmers use proper safety equipment and keep children away from dangerous work environments. The Office of Indiana State Chemist has banned the sale, distribution, and use of Imprellis in the state after investigating hundreds of complaints and finding that the herbicide was responsible for damage to trees and ornamental plants. State officials are notifying lawn care companies and other professional users of the herbicide made by DuPont that the product's registration in Indiana has been canceled. Dave Scott, pesticide administrator with the state's chemist office, says lawn care companies have been advised by DuPont that they will be reimbursed whether the herbicide is in a closed container or an opened one. Indiana's action follows a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency order in August requiring DuPont to stop selling and distributing it. Still to come on News Center 22, 2 American men have been released from an Iranian prison. We'll have the latest, and you might enjoy some popular apps like Angry Birds or Words with Friends. But did you know those apps are putting many people to work? We'll explain more when we come back.
All over America, there are buildings in the shape of something.
The Big Muskie was put up in 1978.
And you'd be amazed how many people come through town just to see the ketchup bottle.
And I think people love something that really gives a place a stamp that makes it look different.
This is all what they call, I believe, roadside architecture.
I think people like outrageous things.
That's that curiosity that we all have.
We call it a program about unusual buildings and other roadside stuff.
What happens when you expect more? You ask more. You discover more.
And you become more.
Now celebrating 20 years in broadcasting, Tavis Smiley keeps pushing the envelope with questions that penetrate and conversations that reveal.
Expect everything but the expected.
Expect more from Tavis Smiley as he returns to PBS for an all-new season.
Two American hikers convicted of spying in Iran were released. Greg Black has more.
Freedom for Shane Bauer and Josh Vitale came after more than 2 years in an Iranian prison. In August, the 2 Americans were convicted of espionage and illegal entry and were sentenced to 8 years behind bars. The U.S. had been critical of their imprisonment since they, along with Sarah Shord, were seized on July 31, 2009 near the border with northern Iraq where they'd been hiking. Shord was freed last year for medical reasons, and U.S. officials pressed for the release of the others.
We continue to express our hope that the Iranian authorities will exercise the humanitarian option of releasing these 2 young men.
The families of the prisoners claim their loved ones were being held as diplomatic pawns.
We feel terrible. This has been a time of enormous anguish, enormous desperation.
In the days preceding their release, Iran's president hinted it may be imminent in an interview on NBC's Today Show.
I think these 2 persons will be freed in a couple of days.
But the country's judiciary then issued a statement that seemed to contradict that. Analysts believe the drama that played out was meant to prop up President Ahmadinejad politically.
He wants to try to garner some goodwill, and particularly now, given that he's been so emasculated in the domestic Iranian political context, he wants to try to show the world that he's not a lame duck, that he's still capable of delivering.
In Atlanta, I'm Greg Black.
An act of defiance against everything ousted Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi stands for. CNN captured this exclusive image in the southern city of Sabah, revolutionary forces burning copies of Gaddafi's infamous Green Book. The Green Book is Gaddafi's Politico Manifesto, first published in 1975. It used to be required reading for all Libyans, but Gaddafi is no longer in a position to force it into the hands of his people. Attorneys representing Michael Jackson's personal physician say they want the video of the singer's 2009 concert announcement played for the jury. The legal team for Dr. Conrad Murray filed a motion on Tuesday to show the video, which they say will show the singer's physical and mental state in the weeks before his death. Murray is charged with involuntary manslaughter in connection with Jackson's death. Dr. Murray's lawyers will meet with prosecutors in a pretrial hearing on Wednesday. Opening statements in the trial are scheduled for September 27th. If Murray is found guilty, he could face up to 4 years in prison. It seems like there are more apps out there than anyone can keep track of, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing for our economy. Allison Cossack has the details.
Farmville, Angry Birds, Words with Friends, they're all popular apps and they're all helping to create a sector that's giving a big boost to the labor market. A study from the University of Maryland's School of Business is calling it the Facebook app economy, and more than 180,000 jobs have been created because of how popular Facebook has become. According to the study's economic model, the app economy is putting more than $12 billion in benefits and wages in the pockets of American workers. The study focused on apps built for mobile devices, tablets, and Facebook, but it says the majority of the job creators came from apps that can span across all three platforms, such as Words with Friends, a Scrabble-like game that users play one-on-one. These developers and their companies are at the forefront of the job creation. And these are high-paying gigs. The average salary at an IT startup is about $64,000. Compare that to the national average of $40,000. Plus, if you factor in all the business that apps direct towards retailers, online services, and other apps, researchers say this economic lift could last a long time. I'm Allison Cossack in New York.
Texting may be all the rage among teens and young adults, but a Pew Research survey finds many adults would much rather just get a phone call. The survey found about 3/4 of adults who own cell phones use them to send and receive text messages, but 53% of those surveyed said they preferred calls to texts. 31% said they liked text better. The survey found that young adults preferred texting the most, with people between the ages of 18 and 24 exchanging an average of about 110 texts a day. Sandwiched in between the summer travel season and the holiday travel frenzy comes an opportunity for easier, less crowded, and sometimes less expensive autumn getaways. Karen Kafa has tips on planning a fall trip in today's Consumer Watch.
With summer behind you and a holiday break so far away, you might be feeling a little bit of travel withdrawal. But a survey of travelers by website TripAdvisor found that the most common way to get over the post-vacation blues is by planning the next trip. And with the right tools, fall may be an ideal time to do it. A travel search engine from Google is ready for takeoff. Google Flights is the latest online tool to help you find and compare fares, routes, and flight times, and directs you to the airline's site to book it. Southwest, JetBlue, and AirTran are among the carriers that have rolled out fall sales, but you'll want to look and book quickly. Some airlines have scaled back on the number of available seats on domestic flights in the final months of 2011, thanks to the shaky economy and high fuel prices. And if you plan to travel with the kids, there will soon be new procedures at the security checkpoints after TSA agents get the necessary training. Kids younger than 12 will be allowed to keep their shoes on, as well as get multiple passes through machines before a pat-down screening. For Consumer Watch, I'm Karen Kafa.
Well, we ended up with a beautiful day today after a foggy start, but if I remember correctly, we still have a chance for rain heading our way. Danny Taborn is here now. Am I right about that, Danny?
Yes, you are correct, Mitch. Our chance for rain will grow as Thursday wears on, followed by a chance for a wet weekend. I'll let you know when and how much right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Roy Underhill. Please join me as we make the